Howdy folks, I'm Rebecca Jolly, the Jolly Alchemist, here today with a neutrino forecast and generally talking about charts and chart information for, the 21st of October, 2025. It's a Tuesday. So today we are looking at the second line, and what I can do is turn the camera around so we can look at those numbers. All right, so looking here at these numbers, we are looking at the second line of the 50th gate, and that is determination, maintaining one's values with strength, and there is the possibility of being able to enjoy overcoming adversity. Of course, we are here in the second line, so in the second line, we have a projection field. We have the person doing their thing naturally and not really understanding it because they don't have the desire to explore it or look at it. They're just projecting that out. So in this case, they're projecting out that they have the determination to maintain their values. And of course, what always happens in response to that is they're going to receive some kind of feedback, some kind of resistance, and that's what they are maintaining their values inside of, is that field of resistance. So it's part of what makes all second lines difficult in some way. There's always a level of difficulty. You have this kind of a contrast between the difficulty of being a two and the sort of inherent natural genius of being a two, because they're just naturally doing the thing, but because they don't have a level of understanding about doing the thing, like say a six line would, they're kind of wandering around. And in this case, they're projecting out on others that there's some kind of maybe an instability in keeping their values, or that that something may not be right with keeping their values. Ra uses the story of there was what was it? It was an election in, where was he was talking about? Oh, an election in Serbia. And immediately after the election, the government didn't like the results. So they said, no, never mind. Never mind the vote. We're not doing that anymore. I thought, okay, yeah, that's a good example of that there. In the Earth activation, we have now line. Oh, this also has an up arrow on it, the 50. The strength to hold on to one's values in times of resistance and, what is that, opposition, so as to reach one's goals. Fine. Then 3, line 2, subordination, the acceptance of guidance for individual mutation. And again, we have this second line. They don't know their depth. They're projecting out that they don't know their depth. First line, what we had was they're kind of confused. They don't know about what's going on. And other people are, and they're holding that confusion on the inside of them. They're aware that they're confused, or at least they should be aware that they're confused. Whereas the second line, they're projecting out that they're confused. And so the reason that it's called subordination, Ra calls it, I believe, immaturity. But of course, 64 keys would never do that because they don't want to make people feel insecure. Oh, nobody wants to be told they're immature. But what's happening there is they're projecting out that there's confusion in the beginning. And so other people look at them and they say, oh, okay, this person is confused. Whereas the first line being will have more of a tendency to say, oh, I'm confused. So people look at them, they see they're confused, and they say, oh, I know what you should do. Do this. And then they get into trouble if they follow the advice. The thing to remember is that confusion is natural. Confusion is normal at the beginning. And if you just stick with it and allow it to be, it will resolve into something that turns into a beginning with a more solid foundation. But if you give away your power to other people and allow them to dictate what you should be doing because you have this air of confusion, that's when you're going to get into trouble with the whole thing. So that's the main business of that. Now let's look at our chart here. I'll turn, and I pulled the day chart for today. So what we're looking at here on this chart is transit information for today featuring 50 line 2, and we looked at the up arrow, and 3 line 2, and we can see that our people energies are in 32.6. 32.6 is, I have it over here in my workbook, but I'll let you look at it on there. Inner tranquility that calmly faces changes. We, of course, just went through that when we were looking at 32 and maintaining stability through changes as a formula for success with the 54. Then we will have Mercury and Mars in 43.2. You can see both of those are reading 43.2, and that is expediency. No, that's dedication. Unique insights through mental processes. So 43 is this gate of receiving some kind of an insight, and then it moves to the 23 of being able to explain that. But in this case, this person who was born today would be receiving basically a double dose of that 43.2, that dedication. Unique insights through mental processes. It will be moving through the 3rd line and the 4th line today. The 3rd line is the one that I carry in my chart personally as my conscious personality sun. So my strongest activation is this one. 43 line 3, expediency. Certainty endures reproach. And I have to say, I've totally endured reproach in my life, and that is a pretty big factor. I kind of seem to draw it out of people sometimes. Like once I invited a manifester to live with us, he figured out all the things that I was doing that weren't good for him, that he didn't like. And he took me on a walk and he gave me a good talking to, and he told me what I needed to change and what wasn't right for him and blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, you know what? Instead of fighting with this guy, it's going to be way easier for me to just go, you know what? You're so right. Yeah. Oh, that's horrible. And while I was doing it, I was thinking, 43.3, gotcha, there it is. Because it's for the sake of bringing insights in. Yeah, so like, it's kind of like sometimes people who need to receive insights, they can't receive them until they receive first a dose of empathy or a dose of listening. And sometimes it's reproachful. And so it's that in the 3rd line of the 43, that ability to handle that reproach with single-minded focus on, I gotta take this bite of shit right now, because then I'll be able to get my piece out, which is the most important thing. We really have to focus on the most important piece, which is getting this out. So if somebody has to yell at me first, well, okay then. So it will also move through the 4th line, which is stubbornness, stubborn reliance on individual insights. So yeah, I'm seeing the ties here that I just kind of womped over on my shoulder, and check out this cool combination of colors. I had at one time so many damn ties that I could actually put together these sets of really subtle and sophisticated matches of the ties. And we can play a little game, and that is, I'm not going to tell you why I chose this set of ties to be standing for the cross of laws in the 3rd quarter. And well, it's really more than that. It's more about the values, the 50th gate of values. So I can show you the ties, and you can make a guess as to why you think this tie or this grouping of ties might be good for this section. And for those who are willing to participate and play the game, I will give my favorite answer a free session. And if you already have a free session, I will give you another free session. But let's see if we can make something out of this, because you've been listening to me and how I'm rating these things for long enough. Let's see what you do. Maybe you'll come up with some better answers than I do about why such a thing should be. Anyway, it's worth like $150 to take a guess. No harm there. So moving on. All right. All right, we will also have our Venus energy. Let's look at that real quick here. A little back and forth-ish. At 18.6, which we looked at yesterday, was boundlessness, departure to find new horizons. 18 is, of course, our focus on the broken gate. So this is the top end of focusing on the broken. And the 18 will then be moving into the 48. That's interesting, that since the 18 really feeds the 48. Oh yeah, we talked about that with the 48. The 48-1 being pragmatism, paying attention to the practical. So what that means for us today is that in the transit itself, we do have a connection being made between the 3 and the 60. This is the channel of the innovator, where you have this clash of the new and the mutative against the established and the traditional. So that's generally our basic energies. Oh, but I can tell you about the moon. When the moon is done with 32 here, which is just shortly after the beginning of the day, then that energy will move into gate 50, which is values, which is of course a repeat of this, so you won't really feel it that much. And then we'll get some energy in 28, which will give us 4 gates, and probably by then 5, because the 18 will, oh no, 4, because we'll switch from the 18 to the 48. And then after the 28, that energy will move into the 44. So it'll be shifting through. We're shifting through this splenic center with the activations. So, I actually don't have a whole bunch more, not for today. What I do have, however, is a song that came up, and that is Bad Indian by the Dead Pioneers. So this song, I'll tell you about it because it's a little bit out there, but it's a cute song. It reminds me of, God, what is his name? We just talked about him recently, Sherman Alexie, the Native American author from Washington, I believe. Such good books he writes, and they have just made some really important and deep contributions to my personal journey, I have to say. But anyway, he's a little bit irreverent, a little irrepressible, and the whoever's singing this song is that way as well. Making a joke of it, but I do definitely get a feeling that in spite of any sort of opposition or oppression or the questionable alliances in talking to these people in the first place, he is maintaining his values and making some funny jokes in there in between about some woman wanted his name, his Indian name. He was like, Greg. And she was like, no, your Indian name. It has to be a sentence. And so he was like, well, how about Walking Eagle? And she said, oh, that's great. And he says, I didn't have the heart to tell her that the only time an eagle will walk is when it's too full of shit to fly. So I was like, okay. That's a funny song. So if you have a minute, go listen to it. Otherwise, no. I definitely recommend that you pull up your own transit chart while I'm talking about these transits so that you can see in your own body how these activations are working. And if the new format is confusing and too jumbled and you don't like it, let me know, because I can shift things, I can change things, I can adjust things. What I'm doing is at this point playing around with the knowledge and the studying that I'm already doing. So it's entering an experimental phase, and it's kind of about you guys telling me what you want to have me do with it, because the information is the same no matter what. Whether I'm sitting here going through the gates line by line and showing you their locations and their meanings over and over again, or playing around and having a little bit of fun with it, either way, Mox next to me. So if I can tailor what I'm doing to be more helpful for you and what you would like to see, then that's the reason for speaking up and letting me know what you like to do. Of course, if you'd like me to do a deep dive in your chart personally, come on over and see me. I am totally willing to work with people, willing to set up trades, willing to figure it out, because the most important thing is to get this information out there and to help people find some clarity and some guidance for themselves, to have a personal roadmap of life, something that we can use to hack our own bodies, our own minds, our own energies, and to get the most out of our individuality. Yeah? So that's what I'm doing. Take care of you. I'll see you tomorrow, and we'll do this weird stuff again. Ciao.